there, you're tuned into MEA Worldwide. I'm your host, Elena Jordan, and today I am sitting down with Josh Blacker from the upcoming series C on Apple TV+.
Yep.
I am so excited about this show. Now, the premiere was last night.
Yeah.
So, was this the first time that you got to see the entire pilot all compiled, or had you and the crew and cast kind of seen a little bit beforehand?
Well, I mean, you see what some of the stuff that you shoot on the day when you're on set, but this was the first time I saw it all put together with all of the final product, the score, and the visual effects and everything, and it blew my mind.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So you're giving it your seal of approval watching the final product here.
Oh, absolutely. Even if I wasn't in it, I would be stoked to just see it and experience that first episode. And then I know what's coming up in the following 7 episodes. So people are going to be blown away.
I cannot wait. And we were also kind of cool thing about this show is that with Apple TV Plus doing their system where they're going to have 3 up front, release the 3 episodes, and then have it be kind of a weekly series.
Yeah.
Now, I know that typically it's about 3 episodes in that people really dig their claws into a show.
Yeah.
Do you feel that this is going to kind of maybe revolutionize the way that we are seeing how shows are portrayed? Because this is the first time Apple TV is really kind of taking a risk here by doing the 3 episodes and then having an episodic and blending the binging and a serial.
Well, I mean, when you launch a new platform, those are such important things to take into account. I watched the opening credits last night, and I was hooked just on those alone. That tells you everything you need to know about this show. And I think what Apple's doing is they're very smart about it. They're saying, this is what you can prepare for. This is what's coming up. So you absorb those first 3 episodes, and I really think you need some time to just absorb it all and go, what the hell just happened? So having that extra week every bit afterwards for the following episodes is really smart because it allows people to think about what's going on in the world, what are the storylines, what's coming up next, and where does it go?
And I feel like this is definitely one, too, that we're going to get hooked on, watch every week, and then go back and binge as well when it's completed.
It will reward you with rewatches, for sure, because there's so many little details. Apple and Francis, the director, just paid attention to everything. And you'll go back and you'll rewatch stuff and go, I didn't see that look, or that wardrobe, that costume, or that. There's so many fine details that I think it'll really make it worthwhile to do rewatches.
And we talked a little bit to Francis Lawrence as well, the director, who was talking about all of these kind of nuances that are incorporated. And what's crazy to me about this show is it's so grandiose. It has this, I mean, obviously a show called C is going to have visuals that are just stunning.
Yeah.
The cinematography, the score, everything is this huge element, but it's so grounded in relatable characters and the intrinsic feeling of love and the bonds of family. Why do you feel that this show is so successful in blending those 2 elements?
I think that's a great question. It is a theatrical experience, and so the biggest TV you can get it, because it'll be worth it. I think what's important is the scope of it is massive, but the storytelling is so genuine and so authentic that the through line that carries you through this really epic world that Apple and Stephen Knight, the writer, and Francis, the director, have produced is just phenomenal. And I think the blending of those 2 things, a really smart story based in incredible characters, surrounded by a world that nobody has ever seen before. And when we normally see a world that's set 600 years in the future, it's either space or sci-fi and really advanced, or it's really dystopian. And I think we really create another world that is completely different than anything anybody's ever seen. So, I mean, I can't say much more, but just watch it and you will see, and I think everyone will agree with me.
And, I mean, obviously you would know because you've been in all of those different genres as well, from Stargate, that is kind of the more sci-fi element, to the 100 that has this kind of more dystopian element.
Right.
I mean, having done all of these different amazing roles on these grandiose scales, Arrow as well. I love your episode of Arrow.
Thanks.
If you could be in any genre that you maybe haven't gotten the chance to dive in as deep, what genre would you like to challenge yourself with?
Wow. That's a great question. I would love to do some comedy. People often say I look a lot like Jason Statham, and he does a lot of the action stuff, but he's done some comedy, and he plays it so well. Because when you look like I do, that I'm going to steal your wallet or something like that, when you play the comedy, it can have really amazing effects. So I would love to try out some comedy, but I love good writing, and as long as the writing is great, I will do any project because it's about story and it's about character. And in C, Apple just gave us every possible resource, and they gave us everything we could ask for. So as an actor, you show up on set and everything has been taken care of. All you have to do is just pay attention to your character and enter into that world. It's remarkable.
And talking a little bit about your character, this Witchfinder Warrior, I just love this whole idea of these concepts of these warriors and the different elements that they possess and these different skills. So can you tell us a little bit about your character and how he fits in with kind of his tribe?
Right. So we are the Witchfinders, which are the Queen Cain is she rules the queendom, and there's a bunch of small tribes. There's only 2 million people left on Earth after this virus has swept across the Earth. And we are the elite of the elite in terms of the Queen's soldiers and army. And I am the Witchfinder Warrior, who is the elite warrior. Like, I am the best at doing what I do. And I am the right...
Well cast.
Right, yeah. And I am the right-hand man to Tamakti Jun, who is the Witchfinder General. He commands the army. And Queen Cain sends us out to find these kids that have been born with sight. And it's an adventure. And you get to see the skill set that we possess and the various techniques that people with blindness or low vision in this world have developed over centuries to navigate through the world and fight and take care of themselves. I was going to say something else, but I can't say that. It's too much. You're going to have to see November 1st. Apple TV Plus, check it out.
Now, talking about the element of fighting blind, literally, having your vision removed and then still having these fight sequences. What was it like for you working with this kind of choreography that is so almost past the scale of what we can even comprehend to be able to do?
It was going to be a challenge. I knew it was going to be a challenge, but Apple was very generous with their resources. We had 2 months of movement training and blindness training. So we had Joe Stretch, he was our blindness consultant, and we had a team of movement trainers who were dancers and circus performers and gymnasts who allowed us and taught us how Stephen Knight, the writer, had perceived the world, and obviously in consultation with Joe, our blindness consultant, made it a world that was authentic to that experience. One of the most unique things was the combat. And so I spent a day with Joe, our blindness consultant. We walked around. I had a nightshade on, couldn't see anything, and just followed him throughout the building and the parking lot and in the neighborhood. We explored the neighborhood like that. Then he brought me back to the building. We had this massive gymnasium set up, and we kept the nightshade on, and we did some hand-to-hand combat, just feeling for each other, finding out where you were. And it started off slow, then it got faster and faster, and you just start to pay attention with your ears, and you just hear the slightest movement, and then the sound of somebody's foot moving or the clothes brushing against their body. It was a remarkable experience. It reminded me of that scene in Star Wars where Luke learns about the Force.
Oh, yeah.
And you realize that when you don't have a vision, or your vision is impaired in some way, you really do rely on your other senses, especially when it's life and death in a combat situation. It's amplified 10 times. Wow. It was wild.
Oh, I cannot wait to see this show. I'm so excited.
It's going to be killer, yeah.
What was the most surprising aspect for you that you learned when you had this experience having your vision taken away to train as well? Was there any elements that you were kind of surprised by that you weren't really expecting?
I was surprised by how quickly I adapted. At first it was very nerve-wracking, but following Joe around just put me so much at ease in that world and the world that he experiences every single day as a person with blindness. And with that faith and that trust in him, I really just let go, and I said, I don't have vision for today. really just sink into it and experience what that world is like and start to trust your other senses. And it was a life-changing experience.
That is just incredible.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Star Wars too. Are you a Star Wars fan?
Big time, yeah, of course.
Yes!
Yeah.
I am a huge Star Wars fan as well. If you could play any character in the Star Wars universe, especially with all these new adaptations,
Yeah.
who would you want to play?
Wow, that is a great question. I think I would love to be part of the like an X-wing fighter and part of that team. I mean, a Jedi. Who doesn't want to be a Jedi? If I could be a Jedi, then I would stop. My career would be over. I would retire. Done.
That's it. That's the pinnacle. It's
Well, no, I would keep coming back to see on Apple TV Plus because it's an amazing experience. And like every day I show up at set on this show, blows my mind.
Which color lightsaber would you pick?
Blue.
Blue.
For sure.
Definitely.
Although the purple one, I think that Samuel L. Jackson had, that was pretty cool too. Yeah.
And we've also seen you had the stint on Arrow that I mentioned. If you could play any superhero, is there any superhero that you would love to see on screen, either readapted or one that we might not have seen before?
You know, I think we've really portrayed a lot of them really well. I love Batman. I'm a Batman guy. He's human. The superpowers aren't as substantial as some of the other superheroes, but he's a human, and he's a flawed human. And I'm excited to see what Robert Pattinson does with it, because he's an amazing actor, and I would love to do that. Also, Lex Luthor, man.
Yes!
Put me in that as Lex Luthor. Anybody's watching out there, Lex Luthor, here's your next Luthor, right?
I mean, I'm like, okay, Jason is Aquaman.
Right?
His stepdaughter's Catwoman. If anybody can make you Lex Luthor...
Momoa, let's have a chat.
Get on it. Get on it. Well, thank you so much for talking with us. I cannot wait. Again, I know I've said it so many times, but this is just a phenomenal series, and congratulations on all of the success as well. Where can everybody find you on social media?
Good question. At Josh Blacker on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram's the best. Twitter, I mostly just listen to the news and what other people have to say. So check it out. Apple TV Plus, November 1st.
And be sure to check out more of our interviews at MEAWW Worldwide. Until next time, I'm Elena Jordan. Have a good day.